Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with Senate staffer Daniel J. Jones being questioned by lawyer Clifford. Clifford is probing Jones for details, pressing him about whether he sealed certain documents. Jones clarifies that he did not seal the documents, but rather relocated them. Clifford then demands to know how he managed to relocate these sensitive documents. The scene shifts to a police station, where Jones is questioned by Officer Jose about the contents of his bag before leaving the station. Flashback to 2003, Clifford and Jones are seen taking photos of the White House. During this time, Jones meets Secretary Dennis McDonough, setting the stage for future events. Fast forward to 2007, Jones is diligently working when a woman approaches him, informing him that the senator wants to see him. He goes to meet the senator, who questions him about an article in the New York Times. The woman hands Jones the newspaper, and he realizes the article pertains to the destruction of certain CIA interrogation videotapes. The senator informs Jones that the destroyed tapes allegedly contain thousands of pages of written records. Intrigued and concerned, the senator assigns him the task of uncovering the contents of those interrogation tapes. The story picks up in early 2009, having just spent 2 years investigating the 2005 destruction of CIA interrogation videotapes. Jones is selected by Senator Dianne Feinstein to lead a comprehensive review of 6 million pages of CIA materials related to the agency's use of enhanced interrogation techniques. Jones, along with his small team of 6, begins their meticulous work in a sensitive compartmented information facility at a covert CIA site in Virginia. As Jones begins his investigation, the story flashes back to the September 11 attacks in 2001. At the CIA's Counterterrorist Center, CTC, employees like Bernadette and Gretchen anxiously watch live videos of the attacks. A few days later, at CIA headquarters, Director George Tenet reports on his meeting at Camp David with President George W. Bush and CTC Director Cofer Black. The CIA's legal counsel, John Rizzo, announces that the president has given the CIA the power to capture and detain suspected terrorists. The next year, intelligence psychologists Bruce Jessen and James Elmer Mitchell are hired to teach the CIA Enhanced Interrogation Techniques, EITs. Despite losing half of his team when the Department of Justice starts its own investigation of the CIA, Jones continues his work with his remaining staff members, April and Julian. He meets with FBI agent Ali Soufan, who shares insights about the CIA's interrogation program, especially regarding a detainee named Abu Zubaydah, contrasting the FBI's rapport-building techniques with the CIA's harsher EITs, as observed by Bernadette, who defends the new methods. Soufan explains that he obtained critical intelligence from Zubaydah before the CIA took over the interrogations, though the CIA disputes which techniques were most effective and what results they produced. In a briefing with Senator Feinstein, Jones presents evidence from the CIA's own records, showing that the agency knew Zubaydah was not a high-ranking member of al-Qaeda, contrary to what they reported to the DOJ. After misleading the Bush administration into believing Zubaydah was a key figure, the CIA received authorization in August 2002 to use EITs on him, making him the first detainee to be subjected to these methods. Raymond Nathan, a physician assistant with the Office of Medical Services, who works at a CIA black site, secretly meets with Jones. Nathan reveals that he and other medical professionals had reported the EITs were torture. However, they received a cable from Director Jose Rodriguez, instructing them to stop putting their objections in writing. Nathan witnessed the waterboarding of Abu Zubaydah, who lost consciousness and nearly drowned during the procedure. Jones and his colleague April uncover the story of Gul Rahman, who died from hypothermia in 2002, after CIA interrogators threw water on him and left him chained to the ground overnight, in a 36 degrees Fahrenheit, or 2 degrees Celsius cell. Jones meets with Senator Feinstein and her staffer, Marcy Morris, to inform them about the CIA Inspector General's report on the incident. Jones also deduces that National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice had been instructed not to inform President Bush about the torture memos, which the president only learned about in April 2006. Among the files provided by the CIA, Jones discovers the Panetta Review, an internal CIA review of the EIT's program prepared in 2009, but never shared. The review is harshly critical of the program. One evening, while watching TV at a bar after work, April, Julian and Jones became discouraged, as pundits on the news claimed that EITs had yielded valuable intelligence and prevented terrorist attacks. Determined to disprove these claims, Jones stays up all night, reviewing the CIA's own records. He finds evidence showing that crucial information, which the CIA claimed to have obtained by torturing Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, was actually obtained through other means. Seen in flashback, Mitchell and Jessen waterboard Khalid in March 2003. Mitchell complains that Khalid fabricates lies to stop the torture. Bernadette, observing from another room, questions the contractors about the effectiveness of their techniques, but the torture continues. The Department of Justice concludes its investigation of the CIA, without filing any charges. April accepts another job offer, and leaves Jones's team. In April 2004, the Abu Ghraib torture and prisoner abuse scandal hit the news, causing embarrassment for President Bush, who had recently denounced the use of torture, in an address to the United Nations. Jack Goldsmith, the new head of the Office of Legal Counsel, repudiates and withdraws the torture memos. A meeting is held to discuss their response. Mitchell passionately defends his methods, and Rodriguez has the program recertified. Jones and Julian complete their 6,200-page report, which is approved by the Senate Intelligence Committee, chaired by Senator Feinstein, on December 13, 2012, and sent to the CIA for final comments. 2 months later, John Brennan is sworn in as the new director of the CIA. Brennan tells Jones and Senator Feinstein he disagrees with many parts of the report, and will not allow it to be published without modifications. Jones attends a series of meetings with CIA representatives, who raise several objections to key findings in the report, such as the conclusion that no unique intelligence was obtained through EITs, and the fact that Mitchell and Jessen, despite being unqualified to offer advice on interrogation techniques, were paid $81 million of taxpayer money for their efforts. Senator Feinstein listens to Jones's defense of his report after these meetings, and eventually tells him to stop attending them. Rusted by the lack of progress, Jones decides to reveal some of the contents of the Panetta Review to Senator Mark Udall, of the Intelligence Committee. During a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing, on December 17, 2013, where Caroline Krass is being considered for the position of CIA General Counsel, Senator Udall confronts Krass. He asserts his confidence in the accuracy of the Intelligence Committee's 6,300-page study, and reveals the existence of the Panetta Review. Udall points out that the Intelligence Committee's report aligns with the CIA's own internal review, led by former Director Leon Panetta, while conflicting with the CIA's official response to the Senate report. Meanwhile, fearing that the CIA might destroy all copies of the Panetta Review, similar to how they had previously destroyed interrogation videotapes, Jones secretly moves a portion of the review into a safe, in his office at the Senate Hart Building. The CIA, embarrassed by Udall's revelation, conducts an unauthorized search of Jones's workspace, violating the agreement between the Senate and the CIA. They threaten to prosecute Jones for stealing the Panetta Review from the CIA's computers. Jones's lawyer, Cyrus Clifford, advises him that while he doesn't face a legal issue, he has a sunlight problem, meaning the issue is one of transparency, rather than legality. In response, Jones meets with a national security reporter from the New York Times. He hints at looking into the CIA's hacking of Senate computers, but refrains from providing specific details. Jones's actions set the stage for further revelations and investigations into the CIA's handling of the EIT's program, and its efforts to suppress critical information. When the New York Times article is published, Jones is summoned to a meeting with Morris and Senator Feinstein. Feinstein, visibly angry, confronts Jones, but ultimately decides to support him. She delivers a powerful speech, accusing the CIA of unlawfully searching the Senate's computers, violating the principle of separation of powers. As a result, Brennan and the CIA are forced to back down, and the charges against Jones are dropped. Senator Feinstein tells Jones that she is prepared to release a shorter summary of the report. However, President Barack Obama grants the CIA broad authority to redact it first. Jones argues that the CIA's proposed redactions are so extensive, they render the summary's revelations almost meaningless. The CIA claims that even the pseudonyms used in the summary could jeopardize the safety of its agents. Despite these obstacles, Jones decides not to leak the report to the media, hoping to preserve its integrity. With the Republican Party winning control of the Senate, in the November 2014 midterm elections, there is a strong possibility that the report could be buried when the new Congress convenes in January 2015. Facing this looming deadline, the Senate finally agrees to release the summary of the report. Senator Feinstein delivers a speech, summarizing the report and its significant findings. Senator John McCain, who himself endured torture as a prisoner of war during the Vietnam War, delivers a speech in support of the report, highlighting its importance and the need for accountability. In the epilogue, it is revealed that Jones left his position as a Senate staffer after the summary. His efforts contributed to a crucial public disclosure about the CIA's interrogation practices and the broader issues of government transparency and accountability. In 2015, An amendment was signed into law by President Obama, officially banning the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques. Despite all this, no CIA officers were criminally charged. In fact, many of those involved were promoted, with one officer eventually becoming the director of the CIA. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.